My name is Durosinmi Etti. I'm not going to assume that everybody here knows me because obviously some people would come from your page. I'm the founder of AGS Tribe, and AGS Tribe is a platform that connects women to each other and to opportunities. So opportunities like grants, fellowships, scholarships, and all of that. And we're doing amazing. We currently have over 1,100 women. In fact, today we just got news that there was an application recently for a 40 million naira advertising fund that was set aside for entrepreneurs, and a lot of us, I put it up within the community, and a lot of us applied. And right now we've gotten about 7 slots out of the 10. So it just shows you the kind of quality of people that we have within the community. A lot of people who are ready to take advantage of opportunities, people who are passionate about growing their businesses and all of that. So I'm super excited about the quality of people we have. We have people from all over the world. We have somebody from Jamaica. We have somebody that lives in Oman, in Dubai, just different people. So yeah, that's a little in a nutshell about the AGS Tribe community. I'm super, super honored that, you decided to come and, tell us your story. Like, you're so amazing. I met you last year and you're so full of energy, and I now realize that, some of the issues, that women face is not peculiar to Nigeria. It's actually a global issue. So I'm super excited that you're here to come and share your journey with us and just tell us how you pull through some of the situations, some of the things that, you have been through on your own journey. You're a millionaire, and it's such a big deal in America for first a woman, next a Black woman. I can imagine how how the journey has been, and I cannot wait for you to tell us all about your journey. So welcome, Lady T. Thompson. I'm going to be throwing my American accent on once in a while when it catches my head.
Yeah, I thank you, and I also want to salute you because you did not say you are our 2019 award winner, and so I deserve. But my name is Lady T. Thompson, and I am the executive director and founder of AgriBiz. That is my baby.
Yeah.
And my background, I'll give you a little bit of history. I come from Detroit, Michigan. I come from a time where Detroit, over the decades, has been dubbed the most dangerous place in the world. There have been state advisories warning people from other countries, do not come. I grew up in a hub of the worst drug trafficking, very underserved communities. But guess what? It didn't define me. And it has given me the ability to do what I love. And so in growing up, when I was in the 8th grade, I got distraught because I lost the science fair to Angela Carter. Angela Carter, I'm still holding a grudge if you're out there. But I lost the science fair to her because she wrote a paper on teenage pregnancy and how basically young wed women in the community, not only would they not graduate and get a high school diploma, it would be a smaller percentage that would get their college degree, the baccalaureate degree, but it was like a 0.05% to get a graduate degree. Now, let me tell you, I was a little just soiled with Angela Carter when I thought that my DNA project was so much better than the epidemic that she was describing in teenage pregnancy. And I end up being one of those moms. I was a teenage mom. So I was one of the statistics in her 8th grade report. But I didn't let that stop me. And one of the most compelling things was she described that I wouldn't get a graduate degree. I'm like, never, ever. And so I defied all the odds. So I called my life Defying the Odds. That 8th grade paper that Angela Carter wrote helped mold me to defy the odds. So I went to the University of Detroit Mercy undergrad. I was a dual major to get my master's of business administration and my Juris Doctorate simultaneously. So I was one of the first people to come out of that program many, many moons ago. And so in that, I found that there are commonalities worldwide with underserved communities because I came from an underserved community. I don't care what country that I've been to, whether it's Germany, country, or on the continent of Africa, any of the South American countries, countries, we all have some of the same challenges in terms of not having financial independence and personal independence. And so that has molded me to be the woman that I am today.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I have a question for you now. So growing up, did you have mentors? Did you have any sponsors on your journey? I know a lot of people talk about, having a mentor, having a sponsor. Did you have any of that? Who were the people that supported you on your journey?
Well, that's a great question. I am a strong advocate that the best way to predict the future is to create it. And you can't create your future without having investors, without having mentors. And when I say investors, I'm not talking about financial investors. I'm talking about mentors and sponsors. So my first sponsor or mentor was my grandmother. She was incredible. She had some of the most simplest sayings, but to this day, they still hold truth to me. And she taught me first as a Christian woman who was unwed with a baby, that for me not to walk around with a scarlet letter on, and this was my favorite line. She said, honey, everybody that you see that does not have a child mean that they've not been pregnant. And this does not define who you are. You can still reach the stars. And when I say that was an epiphany from my grandmother telling me that, I did. Another mentor of mine, oh, and she's awesome. She's a direct sales guru. Her name is Miriam Moulet. Let me tell you, Miriam Moulet has done direct sales for large corporations around the world. But she also wrote a book called The 85% Niche. And Miriam was she is a fantastic woman. But she taught me about really knowing your niche. You have to be able to dream the dream. When I used to do vision boards, then they weren't called vision boards, they were called dream boards moons ago. But you can have your dream and achieve it, but you have to know who your niche is. Who are you selling to? So I learned a lot in terms of sales, direct sales from Miriam. But then one of my favorites, and I love her from the moon to the earth, is Vicki Lewis. Vicki Lewis, I call her the $60 million waste management chick. Now, Vicki Lewis, she has a fascinating story. She started out being an African-American woman in a sector that basically is predominantly men in waste management. And sometimes culturally, you have people that are bias to women, Black women, based on our hues, but she knows the crown in which she wears. And she went from working with the railroads, having the hardest account for a woman, helping the railroads to transport waste and toxic chemicals, to owning her own $6 million company and growing. She also taught me a lot about property management. And then I have another one, Deb Lozer. Deb Lozer is a rock star. She started her company with $100, and her dad made her write down 10 people that she was going to sell to, because she wouldn't ask her printing boss could she get a raise, and her printing boss said no, because all of the men in the printing office had families to feed, like she didn't need a raise. So she took her $100 and started a company, and she sold over $33 million direct sales from printing. And then my next is I call her my Barbie Beauty. Her name is Brenda Lowell. She's with the Lowell family, and I believe they have the Lowell Hotels. They own a car company that refabricates cars for movies and things of that. I mean, a lot of real estate. She used to live next door to Tiger Woods, just to put it in perspective. But she taught me the legacy of strength, that I don't care who you are. We all have some of the same commonalities. When her husband died, people within her company tried to tell her she couldn't run her company and she was not educated enough and what all the hurdles would be. But she defied the odds, and she is still being very successful with her company. And my most unconventional matches in terms of a mentor, it's been Armstrong Williams. We don't necessarily come from the same political backgrounds, but we believe in entrepreneurship and a right to be business. And so he is the largest minority TV station owner in the United States. And
Wow.
my best and earliest outside of my grandmother was my teacher, Miss Dolores Dew. Dolores Dew, she was my middle school teacher from the 6th to the 8th grade, and she really taught, she pushed me to be the best that I can in efforts. Oh, and I forgot one. The late Congressman John Conyers. He taught me never to forget where you came from, despite what challenges you've had, and to always invest in your community. And that's something that's a missing pie. So when I look at who have been my mentors and sponsors on my journey, those are a few people.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's phenomenal. That's amazing because you know a lot of people don't really understand the importance of mentors. They don't really value mentors, and some people find it difficult to find mentors. So I'm excited that you've spoken about some of these people that have helped you on your journey. I'm sure hopefully they'll see this video and they'll be excited that you mentioned them and you still really appreciate them. A lot of people when they get to a certain level, they forget the people who have actually helped them on their journey. But it's important to remain grateful for these people. So
Yes.
another question that I have for you is, I know you've worked for a couple of Fortune 500 companies, and I remember you mentioned, experiencing racism and bullying and stuff like that, but you kept on pushing through and just making sure that, none of that was going to stop you from achieving all the things that you had dreamt of. And that push actually pushed you to hit all your targets. And eventually you now even started a company and a business out of some of the learnings that you learned from some of those companies. So how were you able to go through all of that? Can you tell us about that experience? Because a lot of people all over the world are experiencing racism and bullying and just feeling bad about themselves, low self-esteem issues and all of that. Tell us about that experience. How did you get through all of that and eventually decide to start your own business? Can you take us through that journey? I'm very interested about that.
Yeah. Well, I will first start with the power lies within you. And so I come from a good background with my grandmother, helping to reinforce that within me. But from a corporate standpoint, one of the largest challenges in terms of, excuse me, in terms of bullying and racism, I faced when I worked for Kmart. I worked with Kmart during the bankruptcy here in the U.S. And it started out, there were two teams of approximately, I think there were two teams of 36 attorneys each side. So when you come in, and first of all, I was young, I'm African American, and they're like, how does this girl fit into this? Well, the gentleman who hired me to take on the position, I walked in one day. 3 days later, he was escorted out of the building, literally with security, for some sexual harassment issues. And so I came to a situation where I had no allies. Didn't even have anyone to report to. But Harold Lucan, who was one of the people who helped facilitate it, would fly in and meet with me. And whereas I started out with no allies, I ended up being on top and was one of the last people still standing in terms of some of the challenges. I had a group that was up under me they were my subordinates that did not want to work. They did not want to take orders. They did not want to negotiate. And we're talking about legal professionals who did not want to adhere to the directives of their director. So when I left there, it was the hardest working job I ever had. I worked anywhere from 72 hours to 90 hours a week. I literally eat, drank, halfway slept at Kmart during their bankruptcy. But when it was all said and over, I remember Harold Lucan came in and said, T, you have done a fantastic job. You have saved X amount of dollars. And despite the challenges, despite the insubordination, despite the revolving door that this company has had, you had a clear vision. You knew to go in, you knew how to plug the holes, and you never lost course. And so in that, it taught me that my strength was stronger than what I even knew. So despite the revolving door, despite not having any allies, despite the insubordination, I'm still a winner. So that was my confirmation of, if I can do that for a company, what can I do for myself? And earlier on, I had another situation at a law firm. I won't say the law firm's name, but I had came in. I was making very good money at this law firm. Had a very good plush office in the state that I was in. It was Maryland. And I had support staff, and they were older Caucasian women who probably felt like she shouldn't be in this role. How did she get here? Because I was referred to them. In fact, they used to be my outside counsel for when I worked at Ford Motor Company. But nonetheless, they were insubordinate too. So they were so insubordinate when I would ask them to do certain legal things for my pleadings and my correspondence, etc. They wouldn't do it. And so here I was in a new role, scared to move the apple cart, so to speak, scared to speak up and say, listen, I'm having a problem with my support staff to my boss and my other peers. I didn't want them to know the deficiencies that I was facing. So I went home and I prayed. And prayer changes things. I'm a strong believer of that. But after praying, God reminded me that I had the abilities more so than they did. How, if I managed teams and I was a director of teams, why can't I use those skill sets to outsmart them? So I came in earlier, and later I set up more easier systems that I in turn they had to adopt to my system. My systems opposed to me adopting to theirs. And ultimately, I left the company, but I left the company on good terms, and they had to adopt to my leadership style. So I am a strong opponent of knowing your emotional intelligence. When you're in hard situations, you do not have to get upset. You do not have to get angry. I truly believe in the take 10, like, let me take 10 seconds with me. Let me take 10 whole seconds to pray. Let me get myself, if I'm not saying it openly. So that you maintain your emotions, because in life and in business, and going to the second part of your question, how did it go to me starting my own business? How did it lead up to that? In business, you have to be able to know when and when not to. And you have a lot of people, they may not be as educated, their academic matriculation and all their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s may not have gotten them through the professional trajectory, but their common sense and their emotional intelligence will take them there. And so it led me to do it for myself. When I realized I had the skill sets, I did it for myself.
Wow, fantastic. Okay, so tell us about this new business that you started, Tea Time Events. So once you left the law firm, I believe you started, Tea Time Events. So tell us about Tea Time Events. I have a lot of questions about that. So just tell us briefly what the company was about and stuff like that.
So when I finished with the Kmart bankruptcy, I realized, wait a minute, I have a communicable skill set. My project management, my leadership skills, I can do this and take it to invest in my own company. So I started Tea Time Events, and I'm here to tell you, I started off doing tea-themed events because my name is Tea. I love tea. It just was a quick moniker. And in that, I was able to build my business. I made many mistakes, many, many, many mistakes, but it was a good run. And I was very successful with Tea Time Events. I have stories upon stories in terms of working with all types of ethnicities. I've been to over 84 countries. It really afforded me the opportunity to be successful with Tea Time Events. But I want to leave you with this. I no longer am doing Tea Time Events, and that had to do with the crash of the market. The market crashed in 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
And so I was in the state of Michigan. Even though I did a lot of national events, the industry, it dried up. I mean, when I say dried up, all of my vendors literally dried up, and it was exodus out of Michigan, because Michigan is a manufacturing state. So they went to other states and they diversified, and it was just a hard time. But in that, I'm happy to say that, God is faithful. Faithful. So in 2008 and 2009, I made the same kind of money. But I had to learn a lesson. That first, my business model was horrible, was absolutely horrible. My business model was a model that I was my business. And so when I learned about how to really structure post tea time events, how to really structure your business model, and that's why I'm so proud of what you're doing with entrepreneurs and innovators and professionals, because you need to know what you're doing. I was blessed to be able to not fold up and still be a champion. I was blessed that because of that, I was innovative, because failure will bring you innovation. Failure and innovations are twins. They come hand in hand. And so in that, I was a part of a lot of different boards and organizations. And I was a part of the National Association of Women Business Owners. And it afforded me the opportunity to help them, because they were having challenges too, to be innovative with how they did events. So I did an event at a movie theater. I was able to leverage my contact network to be able to have the organization to do an event at my friend Jeff Philman's movie theater. It was the set of Wannabe. And there we did an event called Fashion Cars and Stars. So we had the car companies there, latest and greatest, because now remember, everybody's struggling. Our stars were a lot of the corporate companies. And at the time, Walmart was having challenges with women. So this is a real good story. And Walmart ended up being the Walmart professionals, and me ended up being my male models. So they were my stars. And then people from the movie. As a result of that, I ended up getting a contract, and Walmart ended up being one of my clients.
Oh, wow.
So you just don't know what innovation can push you through. So though that was a failing time, it really afforded me the opportunity to work with other large corporations. And so I'm happy to say that trajectory has even led to now in terms of agribiz, because I would not have an agribiz had I not had a tea time and had not been a women's business advocate even during that time. So that's one of the stories.
Okay. So I did a lot of research about you, and I saw that you organized a lot of high-level events for various like celebrities and government officials, NGOs, politicians. An example of one of those events was the launch of the presidential campaign for Ben Carson. So I wanted you to like just talk to us about that experience, because I know that right now he was actually appointed by President Trump. He's currently the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. So how did that situation go? You were leading such a huge campaign, or the launch of a huge campaign. So how did that experience, go? How are you able to deal with, the most powerful people in the world? Can you tell us about that experience?
Yes, I can tell you about that experience. My first thought is, you never know who's watching you. You never know who is watching you. So having the spirit of excellence and doing your best and bringing your best effort, regardless to your circumstances, is what really got me there. I had no idea that people within the Republican Party was watching me. So I was blessed and grateful to take on the task to do the launch, and it was beautiful. It was great. You would never know that Thompson was involved. At the same time, in most countries, political activities can be a reputational risk. So that's a huge reputational risks. And subsequent, I no longer have Thompson events. But in that, I will say the actual launch, the activities of that day, having the theater to capacity, the entertainment, the choir, everything went off beautifully, and I'm pleased with it. The media coverage, everything went off flawlessly. However, the flip side of it is it was a huge reputational risk. And when you have wonderful individuals such as Dr. Ben Carson, who has a legacy in the medical profession and being one of the top physicians in his respective field, but then at the same you have to know who you are and have the confidence in that. Yeah. So as a result of that, it still led me to continue to have further high profile roundtable discussions and fireside chats. And it also helped with my other business, which is called African Trade Business Center. So it still led up to this day with agribiz. I could not be who I am without those experiences.
Wow, fantastic. That's a serious story, and especially because, and from when you talk about reputational risk, so I want to give a typical example. Let's say to like the Nigerian context. So, for example, if like a political party is doing an event and all of that, and then you take on the responsibility of hosting that event, do you think it can potentially damage your future opportunities? Let's say, for example, that person doesn't win that election or and all of that. So, is it better to just maybe take the job and just keep it on the down low so that you don't damage your reputation with other people? Because at the end of the day, you have to eat, and you cannot really say you're not going to take. It's not like you're doing it because you support them, but you're doing it as your duty and play your own role as an event organizer or a program manager or something like that. You cannot just say, oh, because this person is in this party, you're not going to, offer a service that you naturally do. So how would you manage that? Because it's a bit, it's a bit scary, for you to say, oh, okay, I don't want to take on any political jobs just because, this person is in this party and this person is in this party, or do you have to, can you declare that you don't support any party, you're just an individual doing this, offering this service, as your own, as a professional? So how do you think people should manage those kind of situations?
Well, reputational risk is a hot button, and it varies per community. And so I'm going to give you two examples. I understand the dichotomy of how that even works in Nigeria. You have APC, you have PDP, and you have loyalists to each side. You have people that flip each side and then come back to the other side. So your political association in Niger, it does have benefits, and it also can have consequences. So I have tried to be very neutral as it relates to political parties. In fact, I have been told by a few people in terms of why I have not entered in some states in Nigeria, that I had to be associated with certain political parties. And so I hold true to my own character, my own integrity, and I try to go through life and have clean hands, and saying that I'm more about the community development, and I'm not here about the reputational risks in terms of being associated with you, because I do understand the benefits, but more importantly, I also understand the consequences. And so what I say to young people, because I have probably 1,000 mentors all over the world, is you hold your own integrity. At the end of the day, when the lights go out, you hold true to your integrity. So if your integrity is to stay neutral, stay neutral. So all money isn't good money, and that's the thing about it. I did a fantastic job in terms of the launch of the Dr. Ben Carson, but it was a huge reputational risk in my own home city, huge. And so in that, but guess what? It helped me to go full force with agribiz. So despite the reputational risk, people not talking to me, people who were on the opposite side of the political fence were like, what? And I told them, let me tell you something. You don't put money in my bank account and you don't feed my family. And I'm sorry, I'm a woman. You know what women do? We hunt, we kill, we clean, we cook, we serve, and we do it all over again. And so I did not let that ability of people to try to strong arm me either way to offset my neutrality, in terms of, at the end of the day, I still have to kill what I eat to feed my family. What I mean.
Yeah, fantastic. I love that response. So it's taking me to the next question now. So what does success and failure mean to you?
Well, family, success and family success means a lot to me in different ways. So let me try to talk about it from my greatest success. For me, I feel like success is a progression. It's not something that you reach it and you stop. It's always a progression. But like anything, it has highs and lows. It fluctuates. And so my greatest success, I have several. My first is my son, bridging humanity and humility through him traveling with me, going to over 40 countries around the world and doing mission trips, and knowing that he's a good human being and he has empathy and compassion for people. That's my first one. My second success is that my grandparents were alive to see the benefit of their investment in me. I feel like they watered this seed and they got to do things and experience things in their lifetime that they couldn't have even imagined. So that was, to me, some of my greatest success. But my present success story is helping to offset the food epidemic or pandemic that we're about to be on the brink of. I don't know if all of the different agencies or powers that be is really talking about some of the food insecurities and shortages that's coming post this COVID-19. It's real. I have always been talking about how it was real, how I thought that by 2050 we were going to be in this food epidemic because of the urbanization swell that's going on and the exponential growth in population. Look how populous Nigeria is. But post this COVID-19, it's here. It's here.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so for me, my success is to be a implementer or executor and advocate of really telling the story of what that looks like, but more importantly, doing something about it. So that's what success is for me. It's definitely not a rigid or just a static element. It is progress and progression.
Okay. And then what does failure mean to you?
Failure, oh my gosh. Guess what? There's really no failure. You know why? Failure is also a strength builder. And I say, I'm trying to recollect Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He said it best. Sometimes we win and sometimes we learn. And so in every single failure, there's a learning opportunity. So let's talk about what that looks like. The average millionaire that gets the success and maintains it has had 17 different businesses over the course of his life. Now, they have had bankruptcy or financial challenges 3 to 5 times within the course, but every business that you've had, whether you were babysitting and someone paid you, whether you cooked food and you sold food or you sold whatever it is, it all leads to your trajectory and of being successful. So failure, there's really no failure if you've done successful. And I can say that when I lost all my money, let me tell you, the people
We're
at
getting there. Don't say like yes. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. I'll ask you that in a minute. So the next question I have for you is, what is your take on hiring relatives? I read an article about you in the Black Enterprise, which is like a magazine that talks about Black entrepreneurs and successful people and all of that. It's one of the big magazines in the US. And I read about the fact that you fired your mom. So I wanted to know about that process. What's your take on hiring relatives, and how difficult is it to fire your mom or your son or your relative? Like what? Take me through that process. Why was it? Why did you have to do that? Why did you go that route?
Okay, first of all, I don't want to get any emails or any text messages, phone calls. You fired your mom, you're a horrible person. Now, after I fired my mom, I sent her on a vacation. So let's be real, she was okay. But what I've learned in business, when it comes to your business, you are your business, and your relationship to your clients is everything. So family, friends, and neighbors, they can impact your success or failure in terms of your business. And you need to know what your business culture looks like. So my mom was so cute. She used to be my receptionist, and she also did my accounting. So when people would come to my office, if they were outstanding with paying me, she was like, she was not a nice to them at all. And that some of my corporate accounts, they had nets of paying 30 days, 60 days after the fact. because that's how their cycles work. She didn't care. You didn't pay her daughter her money when she sent you the invoice. She was not going to be nice to you. My mother was so mean. And if, hello? Hold on. She have them on hold. I'm like, who's on hold? Oh, it's for you. Oh, them people didn't send your money. So my mother was not the best look for my business in terms of my culture. So when you know your business model, and I knew that my 80-20%, 20% of the revenue stream that came in that was keeping us going were from my corporate accounts. My mom couldn't do that to my corporate accounts. So I had to, fire her.
Wow. And how did she take it?
Initially,
did it affect your relationship with your mom?
So clearly, we had to have a conversation. I had to first tell my grandmother. I had to first tell my grandmother to help the blow in terms of, okay, she's not going to take this well at all. And then when I gave her package was a vacation. She got to go and see some of my relatives in St. Louis, Missouri. So she was happy. The short of the day was firing my mom. It was a necessary evil. And now she respectfully, let me tell you something. My mama respect me with my business all day long as a result of that. She knows I don't play about my money. I don't play about my business culture. I don't play about being mean to people. I try to be very integral with everything I do. But you cannot hire friends. You cannot necessarily hire family. If they don't have certain skill sets, let them go. That's smart business. You want to hire people that's smarter than you. You want to hire people that have the right empathy skills. You want to hire people that have the right representation of what your business is. That's why I'm so proud of you in terms of not just what the AGS tribe is, but even all of your friends. They're a great reflection of what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so this brings me to the next question. So how did you become one of America's, female millionaires? Like that is a big deal. And how did you go from owning one house to over 50 houses in the United States? Can you take us through that journey? I want to know how the money was multiplying and multiplying to the extent that you were buying the houses and doing all of that. How were you able to build that wealth?
Well, we talked earlier about mentors. So my mentor, Vicki Lewis, the $60 million waste management lady, she taught me. She said 90% of all millionaires and billionaires' wealth is from owning properties. And so I got that message. She said it to me once over lunch. I got that message loud and clear. And so it kind of resonated because real estate has been one of the most empowering journeys to monetary success. Now, for me, now I've had my fluctuations, so I know money doesn't define my success, but I'm here to tell you the pursuit with real estate, it will get you there. And so what I did was I purchased homes and then I hold on to them, then I would sell them, and then I would purchase homes and sell them to rehabilitative construction companies, and or I purchased homes and I rehabilitated them myself and sold them. So I one of the things that I learned, that I am not a landlord or a good property manager, because I have too much compassion and empathy skills. So that progression, has had its fluctuations. So real estate is the first way to being successful in terms of what millionaires and billionaires habits are. It's owning property.
Wow.
And
so how did you start multiplying? So how did you get your first property, and how did you get the 50th one?
Okay, so because I come from an environment in Detroit where they say Detroit is hustle hard. So my hustle was hard, not from a negative connotation. I figured out a way of how can I go and purchase properties, and properties that were not necessarily the traditional means. And nowadays there's so many avenues and big gurus on how to do that, and I'm not that. But for me, I went to different municipalities and agencies, because in the United States, you have agencies that own properties, not just bank-owned properties. I would purchase properties and land and farms and things and then sell them. And sometimes just hold on to them, because timing and sequence is everything. And keep on hold on to them. I also had a good team of people who would rehabilitate the houses that I work with. And then my family and friends would tell people, oh yeah, she has houses here. You're looking for a house? Call my sister, you know. And one of the best, I would say, byproducts is that my son is a mortgage banker. He's licensed in the U.S. in over 29 states to mortgages. So he saw the hustle of the real estate from his mom, and he's a successful mortgage banker as a result.
Wow, fantastic. Okay. Wow. Wow. You know, that was mind blowing, because a lot of people, especially young people, are really scared. In fact, let me speak for myself. I'm actually very scared to invest in real estate. But I think now, like, my eyes have opened, and I understand that that is the, I would say, quickest way to success, but it's one of the best ways to, you know, invest your money, or one of the ways you can diversify your income and all of that. So I'm also, you know, trying to look for ways that I can invest and all that. And I'm learning from people like you know, people who are millionaires in dollars. Hopefully,
Yeah,
one day soon we'll
you
get
have to be.
there.
And, you know, women land rights in different countries are not the same. Even in Nigeria, where I now have a farm, I've had some scenarios. I had this one gentleman who had a property, who said it was his property, but it was not his property. It really belonged to somebody else. And then somehow or another, he knew the attorney. And so the two of them were trying to dissuade me from the purchase and getting involved with it. And so I've had my share of interesting
Scammers.
experiences. Yeah, so you have to be smart. And I do not believe that real estate in Nigeria is full of scams. However, I believe that you have to be smart enough to know the systems. And my thing is, if I can come from the United States and be able to have real estate in the country, then anybody can do it. You just have to be diligent and patient. And so I don't support that. I don't support. And how to tackle the menace is, you know, having barristers, having access. I come from a legal background, so I am going to have me 2, 3 lawyers on speed dial with whatever transactions I'm doing. I'm like, yep, what are you saying over here? Wait a minute, let me call my barrister over here. What you saying over here? Okay. And then sometimes you have to have also community interest in terms of telling them why you come into the community doing what you're doing. You don't have to be so private with it. So right now is a good time in terms of real estate. When I look at how Victoria Island is just growing and growing, and my little OCD market over there, by OCD market, they have new developments going on over there. And even in Acacia, you have to take advantage of getting in on it and acquiring property, but doing it the legal way. So that's how I would tackle it.
Wow, fantastic. And I'm excited that you also have, you know, knowledge about the Nigerian, you know, industry and sector, different sectors. So I'm excited that you are even advising somebody who's in Nigeria about how to tackle the menace. So
It
yes,
very
it shows me
it
that you've
very
done your homework.
state. When you look at even some of the real estate, it's a lot of real estate opportunities that's going on in Nigeria, in Abuja area. You have, I look at when I first started going to Nigeria regular, and I had been in Nigeria in the 90s, but going regularly from, I say, 2012 to now, Abuja doesn't even look the same. I just was there in January, February, and I was in Wuye. I was like, Wuye? What is a Wuye? I never even heard of it. So to see how the urbanization is actually happening is real. And so that also, you know, kind of alarms me, because when I was going to Abuja in 2012, not knowing any of the political dynamics as to why there were more farmers there then. Now, you know, what happened to the farmers? What happened to my women who was selling me my corn on the corner? You hardly could get your roasted corn in Abuja. So, you know, real estate is a good way. I don't want to go off topic, but I get so passionate.
Okay, thank you.
Invest before you invest. That's right.
Yes, you're well rounded. Okay, so another question I have for you is why are you so passionate about women empowerment? I'm extremely passionate about it, so I can understand why, but I want to know why. Why you are personally passionate about women empowerment.
When I realized that women are most impacted to go toward poverty or stay in poverty, women and children, as a result of not having any personal independence or financial independence. And I too came from an environment, I came from some of the same challenges, is how self-sufficiency became my mission. And so my passion for purpose, potential, profitability, and uh, empowerment derived from my own self-sufficiency. If I didn't work, I worked 3, 4 jobs. I went to school full time and I still had a baby. But I did it. So my thing is if I can do it and if I can defy the odds, why can't I help encourage other people? Why can't I encourage other people to reach their sweet spot to boost trade and investment or soar towards their dreams? And so I've been extremely laser focused, and I've used partnering to help women and entrepreneurs, to help women figure out how to lend to other women. Some of my most successful stories is in the village of Kwa, South Africa. I went there and I did my agribiz program. It wasn't called that at the time. It was Woman Biz. And I had a community that had a severe um, outcry from the HIV epidemic in this particular village. And so the women had to go 3 to 8 hours to go make just a little bit of money to pay the children's school fees. And so when I went to that village and I helped them to create a lending system with the women and to do some community development that's still sustaining to today, that told me I was on the right course in terms of women empowerment. But guess what? Even here in the United States, that's still an issue. Why? I have been invited and went to the White House and sat at these round tables with these different entities and agencies and these big, powerful people is because I bring a different perspective. Yes, I've worked in corporate America. Yes, I come from a very impoverished community. Yes, I am a woman of color. Yes, I understand the dynamics. And oftentimes you have decision makers making decisions and they're not the people that it's going to impact. So my perspective is different. I remember, this is a bad story, but kind of good. I remember one time I was at the White House and it was a fireside chat about doing business in Africa. And so I was the only person of color in the room, and everyone was a millennial with 1 or 2 exceptions. And so they're having all these conversations and they're going around and around. And I'm like, that's not going to work. And so I, interjected and gave an idea. Nobody commented. And then the little millennial that was probably younger than my son said the same thing that I said. Everybody was like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. I said, hold up. Is that not what I just said? Care about it. So I was so upset. So we got a break and I went to the bathroom and then now I'm not a crier. I'm a very strong person, but I was crying. I was so angry. I started crying and my dad called me. And so I was like, Dad, I'm leaving. I was like, these people here, they're stupid. They're not really innovative. They're not really interested in prospering Africa and trying to boost trade and investment. They're not. And so then my dad said, let me tell you something, baby girl. You come from an environment, you come from Detroit, Michigan. You have always been able to swim with the sharks. You get yourself back into that meeting and you go and you swim with the nation sharks and you tell them exactly what they need to do to bring the implementation to help other women in Africa out. Don't forget your purpose. And when I say that was some of the best advice, I wiped my tears off. I was like, okay, Daddy. I went back in there, and by the time I was done, I ended up being a part of the Doing Business in Africa campaign.
Wow.
So, and I later got an award for that. So sometimes That's why I don't believe in failures. Your situation, your circumstances don't define you. You know, that's another one. The sequence of how things happen and take you where you need to go. And I'm a practical person. I am not one that, yes, do I have my academic matriculation? Yes. Do I use it when I need to? I pull it out and I can slam and orally annihilate you if I, but I try to stay practical with all the things that I do. So when I look at women such as yourself, and why I have the award programs is other change makers like you that need to meet other change makers, because the greatest advice that I got was from the former mayor of Detroit, Dennis Archer. And Dennis Archer told me this interview. He said, T, the secret to empowerment is simple. I said, okay, well, what is that? So you have to use your strongest hand. No, okay, let me say. He said the secret to empowerment is simple. You have to use your weakest hand and hold on to something else. You have to use your strongest hand and throw somebody above you. And if you keep that cycle going, throwing people above you, you will empower people. And so I truly believe in that.
Wow, wow, fantastic. That's some juice right there.
Thank you.
I did a research. I'm keeping it on. Like, I have so many questions for you because we must become millionaires in dollars.
Yes,
Anyway,
darling. Yes, darling. It's a
so I
dollar.
have another question for you. So I did a lot of research and I saw that the 2008, 2009 recession, really hit you really bad. And then you had to liquidate a lot of your assets. In fact, almost all your assets and all of that. How did that feel, losing it all? So did you lose friends? Did your network that you had already built, did they help you out of that, out of that situation? How was it? How did it feel to lose it all? Did you feel any pressure? How were you able to bounce back? I want to know about that experience because it's not easy for somebody who has tasted wealth, who has been a millionaire to go, almost bankrupt, go down seriously and, come back up and, still trying to do things, still making impact, still making money and all of that. How were you able to, go through that process? Your friends, you still have those friends now, or did you still have those friends when you were even in trying times? Not even now, because now obviously you've already come back, you're blown and all of that. But how did you go through that process? I want to understand because it's very, very hard. When you're going up and all of that, it's when it's easier, but when you're on top, it's harder to stay on top. And that is the situation that all of us have to deal with, the pressure and all of that. So how was it? You're trying to remain up at all times. You're trying to do things, so that you still remain top of mind and all of that. But what happens when you actually dip? I want to know that process. How was that process for you?
Okay, so I'm coming in closer because this is real talk. This is real talk time with Iffy.
Yeah.
So first of all, for the Lord God shall be thy confidence and shall keep thy foot from being taken, was my solace in everything. And I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me was part of my sanctuary in that time. But the biggest thing was, for me, no different than in the Bible. It talks about the story of Job. And the thing after he lost everything and his family died and his 3 friends came to him. And he said, but I know my Redeemer lives. So for me, it was my faithfulness that helped me through. Yes, let me tell you. Oh my gosh. The first people who dropped me was the yacht club people. They dropped me like a hot potato.
Wow.
Then the second group, because I was did a couple country club memberships, blah, 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 they were like, yeah, but you want to know who were some of the most vicious people? There were some of my church members. They stayed, that were real aloof, and I went to a multicultural church too. Let me say that. I went to a multicultural church, but they were very aloof. So, but you know what? Every time I think about, for the Lord shall be my confidence and shall keep thy foot from being taken, that gave me a sense of peace that people couldn't buy. And during that time, you had so many people with large investments in the stock market. they were committing suicides. I mean, the suicide rate had increased exponentially here in the U.S. And so now, as I sit strong and think about, I didn't lose my mind. I didn't commit suicide. I didn't go to any vices. I don't drink. I don't smoke, and I'm not no whoremonger. I didn't do any of those things, but I'm still standing. So my level of confidence and faith in God is what carried me through. Now, did I feel pressure? Did I have a few people here and there that came with encouraging words? The answer is yes. But guess what? Everybody was going through it. And the people who still had money, they didn't really want to talk about money. Or the people who still had resources, they were, holding on to their resources tight. And that's basically what's going to happen to the world right now, even go post COVID-19. You're going to have people that they're not going to really be flaunting their affluence and their wealth. And then you may have some people that may have some humility. Let me tell you something. It costs nothing, absolutely nothing to give to someone. Rather you give a word of encouragement, give a way up, a resource, a network to help someone continue to build their business. It costs you nothing. Look at what you're doing. You're doing something right now. You're having a series on failures. What better time than now, for such a time as this? So truly being able to bounce back was...
Let me just quickly say something. I think we have like 3 more minutes before Instagram cuts us off. But if Instagram cuts us off, please, everyone, just come right back. We're still here. I just wanted to quickly say that just in case the phone cuts off without getting a warning from Instagram. So you can go on, please.
Yeah, you have to know where your potential lies. That's what profitability is. You're your own profitability. And if you don't believe it, you'll never succeed. One of my best stories in terms of reading, I read a lot, is Barbara Cochran. She's on a show called The Shark Tank here. And she talked about failure as with the same lines that I do in terms of being a progression. But she had a challenge that she was horrified to speak in public. And as a kid, she didn't want to read. So one of the nuns told her she was stupid and was going to be stupid. Well, lo and behold, she's one of the baddest real estate chicks. And she's one of the few people that has sued President Donald Trump and won the case.
Wow.
With real estate, because he didn't want to pay her commission. She won the real estate commission and she got every dollar that was due to her. So you don't let other people dictate. You don't let situations determine who or where you should go. And I believe in that.
Wow. Wow. Fantastic. Wow. I'm blown. And the phone is going to literally cut off in 30 seconds.
Yes. That's what.
Seconds. I'm super excited that we're doing this, man. Like, I can't wait for us to come back. I'm excited. I'm so excited that you're also so real. A lot of people come here and they're all bougie and all of that. Not here typically, but when you see other interviews, people don't really say the truth about their failures and all that. So I'm so honored that you're actually sharing all of this with us. And I'm learning so much, and I'm sure the audience here is learning a lot as well. So guys, I'm going to cut it off now so that I can save the video. So please come right back, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and join the AGS Tribe community. See you guys in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
See you. Like, she's so real, super down to earth, and you can't. It's not easy to be her. When you're super successful, you're dining with the high and mighty of the world, not just Nigeria, of the world. Like, it's not easy to still maintain your calm, still be humble, and it takes the grace of God to continue being humble. Thank you guys for coming back. I'm super, super, super excited. So I'm waiting for her. I still have a lot of questions before I open it up to the floor. I'm excited that you guys are enjoying this too. So I got a question from the other session, so I wrote it down. So don't worry, I'll ask the question soon once I'm done with my own questions. And where are you now? I can't find you. Is she back? Oh yeah, she's back. Oh my God. She's back. Uh-oh. I tried connecting her. Can you please send another request? I don't know what happened. Uh-oh. Let me see something. No. find her. Lady T, I think you need to send me another request. Oh yes, I found her again. Yeah, fantastic. We're back. Yay!
Yes, darling.
Yes.
Yes, I'm back.
Yes, we're back. We're back. I'm excited, and I was able to save that. Okay, so we just finished the question on how it was, being in that time, because I know how difficult it is, when it looks like you don't have anything. In fact, I had a meeting with someone earlier today, and she's like, her life before, she was up and running, she was earning a lot of money and all that, and then she had to move to Nigeria from another country, and then she just went down, like, and this is now 5 years later since she moved to Nigeria, and she can't even concentrate. She can't really, she's almost going into depression. So I know that it's very, very difficult when you're that person people are looking up to at one point, and all of a sudden you go down. Even when I was watching the documentary on Bill Gates, Inside Bill's Brain, and I saw how at the beginning he was the love of the whole world. Everybody loved him, the whiz kid, everybody was celebrating him, and all of a sudden everything switched. He started getting lawsuits. He started, he was going, like, people were throwing things at him in public. He became like the terror of everyone. Everyone was so scared of him, so everyone was trying to bring him down all at the same time. So it's really, really difficult it's difficult to stay on top. But thank God he's also managed to, still stay on top and all of that. But it's difficult when you dip, and it takes the will of God to come back and all of that. So thank you for sharing your own story with us. So another question I have for you is, I know you have a son, and you've mentioned that, and you had him when you were young and all of that. And I know that you're not married. So have you ever? No, I already know that you're not married. So do you think it's difficult, for successful women to get married and stay married? So what is your take on that?
So, I'm usually ultra private about my personal life, and the reason being is because I was extremely protective of my son. Even now, a lot of people couldn't tell you what he looked like. I've been all around the world, but very few people can say, "Oh, that's T," because he wanted that level of anonymity. He was like, "My mom knows everyone," and I don't. But I give anonymity. So, what do I believe? I believe that every couple has the ability to be powerful within itself, but you need to know and have the right partner. I have chosen, and I say this, chosen to be on this forward trajectory to legacy building that I'm doing now without a partner, because it takes a lot for a powerful couple to go with, to be in a relationship with someone's traveling a lot, uh, doing a lot of different activities. They have to be strong in their relationship with trust, in terms of, you're a woman and you meet a lot of men. Men oftentimes, they're the power brokers to how you're going to get to the purse in terms of doing economic and empowerment and sustainable development. They help navigate you through that. So you have to have a very, 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 very strong spouse. I believe that you can have a marriage that can sustain it, but you need to know what complements you, and you have to be supportive of that. And usually it boils down to emotional intelligence, coachability, and trust. If your spouse has that emotional intelligence to know that you are on your road, you're laser focused to doing whatever you need to do, identify what the goals are, what the vision is, what's on your vision board, your dream board. If they know this is part of the road to get you all there as a unit, then it'll be a good partnership. Unfortunately, a lot of times you have family, even me in my trajectory. I have family members. I have, I won't say their names, so I'm going to say their names. I have people, when I did not have a yeah, she's still a millionaire, or she has money for this, that, and the other. I have so many rumors in my family, it's not even funny. But your family, your friends, your contact network can impact your marriage. So I love one of the female billionaires from Nigeria, one of the billionaires. I love what she said. She was like, listen, nobody comes to her, stay at her house, not even her kids. And she said she has her own main house, and she has flats for her children when they come to visit at the home that they stay in. And when relatives come, she puts them up in a hotel. And when she goes to see her relatives, she goes stay at a hotel. So nobody's in her marriage. And at the end of the day, she still cook her food for her family. Yes, she has some domestic workers that might help chop up her food or whatever she needs, but she still takes care of her husband. And she's a very well seasoned billionaire in Nigeria. And I thought, wow, that's quite impressive. So you have to do what works for you. And I've known me that I wasn't going to be ready until I hit a certain point. So I started off with 2020 saying, okay, I think I'm ready to date.
Okay.
Let's see how 2020 ends. Okay. But you know what's for you.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because when you look at other, female billionaires like all over the world, let's say Oprah, for example, who I love, absolutely love Oprah. She she has a, let's say, partner, but they're not married. And when I read her articles, I see that she chose to remain unmarried. Not that she doesn't have companion and all of that, but she decided not to actually do the wedding. So what is it? What is that thing about women and success, and why it's so difficult to mix that with marriage? Like, I don't really understand why it seems like it's so difficult. And in Nigeria, it's even more difficult. I think in the US and in the UK, women are more exposed and all of that. But if you come down to Nigeria, maybe in Lagos and Abuja, people are exposed, women are exposed. But when you go down to like the north and people who live in like low-income communities, it's a bit different. They're not empowered, they didn't go to school, stuff like that. So how would you manage being a successful woman and managing being married or building a home and all of that?
Well, let me say this to you. I have had the luxury to be able to build my home, build several houses from the ground on up. I've had the luxury of having some great experiences, but I also had the autonomy of I did it as I wanted to. I didn't have to check and balances of what a relationship needed, but it was my choice. Now, it's interesting that you spoke of Oprah Winfrey, because here I have a conspiracy theorist about that. I believe that you get so much scrutiny when a woman hits a certain age. If you're not married, it's like you're the worst person in the world, and you don't fit the social norms. I believe, no different than myself, that Oprah made a choice. Her choice was, you know what? I am married. I'm not going to give the public that. I believe her and Stedman are married. And that she didn't give the public, she didn't fall to the public scrutiny of when she should do it. So no different than myself. I am now in a place where, okay, yeah, I'm open to, dating and, getting to that spot. But I made the decision, and it's still a hard decision, because I have to be with a partner that's still going to afford me the opportunity to go travel around the world, to go and do my empowerment, to go and advocate for aquaculture and entrepreneurs. And if the partner can't support that, it's not going to work. But I'm wise enough to now know that time is no respect of anybody, and time is the greatest commodity that we have. So I'm not wasting my time on anybody that's not going to be able to understand that this is important to me, and this is my spot of life and my purpose.
Fantastic. Okay.
But I think if I were to, when I encourage younger women, you need partnership. Nobody can do anything alone. So I'm all for the institution of marriage. Let me say that I support the institution of marriage, but having the right partner is everything. You have to be a partner to your partner, and sometimes there's humility in there. Sometimes it's submission in that. Sometimes it's knowing how to be peaceful. You can't bring home your business home. You have to have that work balance, that work-life balance, to not bring the stresses from your job home into your marriage. And let me say this about my the love of the Nigerian culture. And I've had the luxury of going to several different states within the country, and everyone, you know, swag is a little different in terms of how they impact marriage and how relationships work. But I've seen some successful marriages, uh, some successful plural marriages, people in the North, no different than seeing some successful marriages, people in the South, the West, and the East. It's about the balance that you bring with your partner and managing your expectations and being and communicative about that. Oftentimes in life and even in business, this is an applicable principle. People don't have peak conversations. And if you can't communicate with peak conversations like what we're doing today, you won't get anywhere. You won't learn anything. You won't do anything different. We have to go beyond the surface of how you doing, how's the weather, how is business, and go and have some hard conversations like what are the challenges? What did it feel like when you felt the pressure from losing everything? How does it feel as you go on your upward trajectory? You have to have those hard conversations and real talk. I have a dear friend, Joshua. I know he was on here earlier. Joshua is I call him my superhero. He is a friend, but he is a supporter of my company, most importantly. And he's a great dad, great husband. But, you know, you have to have people that are your sideline cheerleaders. So I call Joshua my sideline superhero because, you know, he supports my initiatives, and he will come. He has traveled from Lagos to Abuja to wherever I'm at to actually be just a supportive by just being there. Not that he's asking me for anything. I had a conversation the other day that I was saying that I was doing this, and from somebody from Nigeria, and the first thing they asked, "Are you getting paid?" And I said, "No, really, they did." And I'm like, I need to understand your psyche. Why does me investing my time in empowering other people require I need a payment? Help me understand your psyche. And then they got offended. I shouldn't be offended that you asked me if I'm getting paid, but in our direct or peak conversation, they then understood that because I am from the West, I don't have the same mindset. And so I'm not in that that everything that I do requires some financial benefit. I've outgrown that because it doesn't cost me anything to give. So you got to know who you are.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now we're getting to agrobiz. So can you tell us about agrobiz and what you do now and all of that?
Yes, yes. Agribiz is an entrepreneur in agriculture training firm. And so what we do is we expand agriculture. We expand agricultural success by helping communities. We do that through 3 programs. Our first program is called Seed Time Giving and Growing, where we go and we do empowerment session to help communities and not individuals, not private sector, communities or co-ops or farmers or rural farmers who need it the most do community development. And you can never have a successful program without it. And why do I say that? You cannot have large agencies, I won't say any of them out loud. You can't have them come in and come into your community, your rural area, and say, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And they know nothing about it. So what we do is we do transformational learning. And we do that through taking them from a growth mindset from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. For example, we take them from, oh, I can't do this because the government didn't give me any money. Or I can't do this because the government said they was going to do X, Y, and Z. Or I can't do this because the government blah, blah, blah. And then we take them to success stories of, wait a minute, yes, you can. If you have within your tribe, within your village, within your contact network, people with similar mindsets or entrepreneurial complementary businesses, you can. So some of my greatest success stories have been with some rural women who come together and they started a palm oil business. One from after the rainy season. One lady was like, she had the palm trees, but another lady was like, she had the palm processing plant. Another lady was like, she had the packaging. You know, they got together and they're importing, exporting palm oil. But it takes a village. It takes a village. It takes a tribe. It takes contact network in order to succeed. And so we do that with one of our programs. Our second program, offline, our second program is called 2 hectare harvesting. And that's when we get these communities to come from whatever respective country they are, and or missioners or agricultural professionals, and we bring them to the United States so they can get tailored specific programming that can bring about sustainable economic development to their community. And then the third program is called Agricultural Development. Well, that's what we bring the money. So we bring the money to help expand or offset any of the challenges that a community has been doing. But right now, post the COVID-19, we're looking forward to bringing hope, bringing a better tomorrow, because we are on the brink of a huge food shortage. There's so many things that's going on. And so thank you for asking me about agribiz.
Fantastic. I love how passionate you are about agribiz. Like, you went in, and I'm excited that somebody is actually looking in that light, checking out that sector and seeing how they can help that sector all over the world. So I know you're doing a lot of work in Nigeria. You're also doing work in the States, in low-income communities. So I'm very thankful for all the work that you're doing. You're really a power woman. So another question I have now is personal. It's not necessarily personal, but why don't you have a digital footprint? I want to know. Like, I tried, doing research and everything. I didn't really see much. You're not really showing anything on Instagram or even on Google, like even on LinkedIn, nothing. Like, you're like a ghost. So I want to know why. Why don't you have a digital footprint? Because to build personal brands, like I advise people all the time, you need to build a digital footprint, you need to do this, people need to know what you're doing so that you can access more opportunities and all that. Why did you decide not to have a digital footprint?
Okay. So as an individual, yes, that's what all the branding professionals such as yourself has said. And I did need to have a digital footprint. However, with the dangers of internet and everybody being so visible and engaged with you, I had a for real stalker. And so I'm asked about this quite a bit. And so there are no personal elements to me and my brand out there because I had a for real stalker. A stalker is a person that's showing up wherever you are, that's trying to contact with you. They don't even know you. Sometimes they can know you. Sometimes they're expressing bodily harm. This guy was like, he is going to marry me, and I was going to have 3 or 4 kids of his, and if I didn't, would nobody going to have me? So, it was really scary. I'm making light of it now. So how he was able to find me and know what I was doing was based on me being so visible online. And so, yes, my LinkedIn is up there. I still have my T-Time somewhere. T Thompson is on Facebook or whatever. So I decided that from a personal standpoint, that wasn't working out. And it was so bad that even on Instagram, there's a T Thompson. That's a T Thompson with an extra T. It's like T Thompson, that somebody duplicated my image.
Wow.
Yeah. So you have to be smart. And so in not knowing how to invest to protect myself and my family, I've chosen not to be so accessible. So that's why it's a privilege and an honor for me to take this time under the agribiz window to participate with AGS Tribe, because this is out of my norm. I don't normally do things like that because it has been scary. It was so bad that I would go to different states and, this person would come show up in the restaurant and or would come to the event. I've had all kind of even in my travels, even in Nigeria, have done speaking engagements, and whatever hotel I'm at, people are like knocking at the door and calling your room. I've had some experiences. Yes.
Wow.
So I'm no longer stay. That's why, going back to Josh being my superhero, I'm so appreciative of Josh. I no longer stay where I'm staying at and give people complete access to me. And I've had to be very conscientious of that. And as females, and understanding that sexual harassment and sexualization is a problem for all females. No female around the world is exonerated. That's a real issue. So we have to be smart as women in how we are accessible to people. So I'm no longer am extremely accessible to people.
Fantastic. And that's a huge learning point for me, especially for whenever I'm traveling. But now I've learned that, I don't really post maybe the hotel I'm staying at. If I post it there, just know that I'm not staying at that hotel.
You're
Sometimes
gone.
now I don't post that I'm traveling until I've gotten to where I'm going to, so that nobody is looking for me and all of that, because I totally understand stalkers and all that. Sometimes I still post when I'm traveling. Let's say it's an AGS Tribe event and stuff like that. But if I'm going to Abuja, for example, I probably wouldn't post until I have gotten to Abuja, just so that it limits the kind of people who know where I am at every point in time. Because sometimes Instagram really, really tells people what you're doing at all times. So I'm trying to learn. It's still a learning process for me anyway, because the millennials we're very fast with our hands on our Instagram and Twitter and all of that. So we're
Yeah.
learning anyway. Okay.
And
So
if it
okay.
even impacts celebrities here in the U.S., what is the Kardashians? Well, one of the Kardashians, they said they were somewhere, somebody broke into their house. So you have to be very conscientious about safety. And one of the responsibilities of what social media has done is it has made us be more conscientious about our safety and the safety of our families.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so another question I have for you is, how many businesses have you had in the past, and how many of them have failed? Or have you only done, tea time events and now agribiz?
No, I would be considered like a social entrepreneur. Let's see, my first business, I was 15, and it was called Baby Showers. I used to go and do baby showers, help my mom. I would help my mom. She would help me in terms of doing baby showers for people. So that was like my first business. And I did that. I was 15. I made good money. I was always on my hustle. Then as I was going through high school and in college, I did nails. I was a licensed manicurist. So I've always been an entrepreneur. So right now, to date, I had to think about it. I've had a total of 11 businesses. And right now, I'm the owner of Tea Time Events. I've gotten a few offers with people who want to buy the brand. I own Agribiz. I have a
Are you going
cash.
to sell it? Do you think
No,
you'll sell it?
no, you know what? That's my baby. It's like, like when I get money, I was like, no, I don't want to do it. That's like my baby. That's my blood, sweat, tears. So remember, I told you that business model was the business model of tea was the business. So I'm too personally invested in that. I believe I would never sell it. So right now, I have Tea Time Films. Still have Tea Time Events, Agribiz, and my cashew business.
Okay.
So I'm down to 4.
Four. Okay. And yeah, it's okay to have many businesses. I always tell people, you try your hands in different things, and the one that works works. The one that doesn't work doesn't work. There's some you do just to buy time, to get to the one that would actually work. So it doesn't really matter. A lot of people put you under pressure, like, oh, why are you doing so many things? Oh, I don't know you with one business. It doesn't matter. You'll find yourself as you go on. Right now, social media shows you what everybody is doing. So it's more obvious the different businesses that people have, but it doesn't matter. Back in the day, people still put their hands in different businesses till they struck gold. So keep finding your goal. There's no pressure. You don't have to put yourself under any pressure. Okay, so another question I have is,
May I add to that? Because failure is preparedness. It prepares you to your success, and so that's why earlier in the first segment, I describe it that there's really no failure because it takes you to your success, and you must never quit. You never quit quitting. So though something may not work, or sometimes like I've had businesses that's been timing and sequence. The timing wasn't right and the sequence wasn't right. But like nowadays, like the Tea Time Films, I have had ebbs and flow with it. I've never given it up. because I used it when FAMS came to the state of Michigan. I was one of the people who was lobbying, unofficially lobbying for the tax incentives. And so I've dibbled and dabbed in that, and it has leveraged my contact network. So time and sequence is everything. I just wanted to add that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so another question I have is, how does it feel relating with some of the most powerful people in the world? How does it feel?
Well,
and having them on speed dial. Like, I asked you for an ambassador's number yesterday. I'm like, oh yeah, you can have the number. And I was like, oh my gosh. So how does it feel having those kind of connections with people and contacts, and they're your friends now? How does it feel having those kinds of contacts?
Well, let me say this to you. It's very, very humbling. And it's humbling because I guess I just didn't have, okay, so I have three answers to this. So how does it feel in terms of being able to relate with powerful people? Let me tell you something about powerful people. I love seeing powerful people with other powerful people. And because powerful people, they have this swag to them, when they come in the room. One of my favorite powerful people from Nigeria is Dr. Adesina. I'm a fan. He doesn't know it. I've met him a couple of times, but I'm a fan. He has been very generous in terms of information. A couple of times I've had an audience with him. But when he gets in the room with other powerful people, I love to see what that interchange is like. What I've learned is to be humble. And there is nothing like watching that interaction. But guess what? You have to have confidence in being quiet. When you're around the powerful people, sometimes I'm just quiet. I don't act. I don't like how talkative now. I don't say anything. And I love what my grandma used to say. She used to say, all you need in this life is ignorance and confidence. And then a success is sure to follow. And so when I was younger, I was like, ignorance and confidence? What? That's an oxymoron. But she was right. Because if I have the ignorance to be around powerful people and the confidence to be quiet unless I'm asked something or my opinion is yielded, I'm just quiet and I observe. So when you're around powerful people, I've also learned, I have a friend, and a former board person. It's like, gee, all of these millionaires need millionaires, but you're not leveraging them. You need to do this, that, and the other. And I'm like, that is their money. But timing and sequence is everything. And so when it's the time for me to ask for something, or the sequence for me to ask for something, it's just like going to the bank. I don't go to the bank and say, you know what? I need to think I can get a loan, or I need to get some equity. I know that when I go in, I'm going to get a yes. So though I might know the people, that's theirs. And I would rather be my authentic self with them. So if they have questions or they need things or they call me or they need my opinion, I'm there for them. I'm not there to take away anything from them. And that's how you build authentic relationships with them. So yes, I know a lot of people, but I'm not trying to suck them dry. But if I come with an ask, it's because I have a real ask. I'm not bleeding.
Yeah, and a lot of people in Nigeria need to learn that you don't meet people and just start asking them things immediately. You have to learn to build that relationship, and you don't always have something to ask for. Just build that relationship. Just be a person of value. Later in life, you may need their help. They may need your help. Then you can ask. But first, be focused on just building that relationship. Okay, so another question I have is, do you always think that you'll be successful, like growing up? Because a lot of people, sometimes they have that tunnel vision. From when they're like 10, they'll be like, I'm going to be successful. I know I'm going to have this. I'm going to have a PJ. Some people already had that dream from when they're very young. So do you always think that you are going to be successful?
Yes, the answer is yes. I would be successful. And for me, like where I'm at now, the pinnacle of where I'm going in terms of success, I haven't met that yet. I knew it, but it started when I was in grade school. When I would win those science fairs up until Angela Carter, from the 3rd grade to the 8th grade, winning all those science fairs, it gave me the confidence that I was going to be successful. But not only that, I also I knew that I wasn't defined by my environment. I wasn't defined by my family circumstances. I wasn't defined by all the economic upswings and downswings that was happening in Detroit. I'm not defined by money. I am defined by what I believe I, and my faith tells me I am wonderfully made. And so that boosts my ability to be confident even when I'm uncertain, even when I'm walking into new doors or new pathways. It has always been with me. So I encourage people of all faiths, to know where your faithfulness is, because it will open up doors and it will make room for you. And so, yeah, I've always known it.
Fantastic. So that means, it's inbuilt. You have to believe it. You have to know that this thing, I'm going to reach the stars, I'm going to shatter ceilings from when you're very young. And, we should also try to teach our children as well. Like I tell my daughter every day, you're a global leader. Sometimes she'll tell me, Mommy, she'll ask me a question. I'm like, no, I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that. Or maybe I'll find out later. She's like, but you're a leader. You're supposed to know everything. I'm like, okay. Yes, I'm a leader. You too, you're a leader. So it's important for you to teach them. Important for you to teach them so that they have that confidence in themselves. So another question I have for you is, what are some of the things that we should expect on our road to success, and how can we prepare for them?
Well, I think we've kind of covered a couple of them, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll read that. You have to rethink what failure is. The difference between a person who is successful and a person who fails is one of them didn't get up, or one of them stopped getting up. Every time you get knocked down, you have to get back up. And so you also have to rethink failure as failure and innovation are twins. When you think failure plus innovation equals success, you will start to see failures as learning lessons. So then there becomes no such thing as failure. You just try to give your best effort, have your spirit of excellence in everything that you do. You make no excuses or apologies about how your light shines, even when other people are trying to dim your light. And that's very important for women, because oftentimes women, oh, we're the smartest person in the room, but other people or individuals are trying to make us feel inferior or try to dim that. No, make no apologies about who you are, where you're going, and how you're doing it. But I would say my biggest advice in terms of what to prepare for in terms of success is having a budget for mistakes and having an investment or a budget for innovation, because some of the best revolutionizing things came with people making mistakes or having monies to try innovative ideas or trying to come up with concepts or solve problems. And so I like to, when I do the Agribiz program, I like to ask women, particularly, I'll say, okay, how many people in the room are creative? And you'll see hands go up. Usually you have about 80% of the room that's like, okay, they're creative. Then you ask the same group of women or girls, how many people are innovators? Then it reduces to, if you can get 10% of the room to raise their hand. And I say to them, it's the same energy and efforts and creativity that makes you an innovator. And as entrepreneurs, you have to be innovative. So let's ask this question again. And usually, that aha moment happens, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm innovative with whatever service that you're providing, whatever product that you're having, or whatever big idea or social entrepreneurship or enterprise that you may have." It usually has both innovation and or needs a budget for you to make some mistakes.
Fantastic. Wow. Okay. Another question is, what advice would you give your younger self?
Let's see. Okay, what I would tell my younger self is time, Miss T. Thompson, is more valuable than money. Let me say that again, even today. Time is more valuable than money. So don't have time wasters. Uh, then the second thing I would say is, do not argue and debate with fools. Don't even do it. It's just a loss of your energy and efforts. Why do that now? I don't debate and argue with fools. I just stop. and read and comprehend The Art of War. And understanding the art of war will not impede your faithfulness to God. So those are my three things. But I look at the commodity as time is the biggest one, because you have so many time wasters. I have a 10-minute time increment when I'm talking on the phone to people, where people calling you like, hey, how you doing? It's like, okay, 10 minutes, I'm usually off the phone. Because get to what the ask is, or how you see it if somebody's doing. Say, be direct with it and keep it moving. It's not that I'm empathetic, because that's the greatest commodity. But then you have some situations where people might have lost a life with this COVID-19 that might require a little bit more compassion and empathy. So you know how to utilize your time wisely.
Wow. Okay, that's good information. Okay, so finally, the last question I have before we go, to the guests. What would you want your legacy to be?
My legacy. Okay. So for me, my legacy is, what did I do between my sunrise and my sunset? And so I want my legacy to be that T. Thompson was a global business advocate, and she truly executed the best level of adaptive farming for organic food so people can eat nutritiously.
Wow.
That's,
Wow. And I'm happy you said it out here. So we have it. We have that information. Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for that. So I'm really, really honored that you've shared so much with us. We have about 15 more minutes, so we're going to take questions from the audience. I have one already, so if more don't come, then that's fine. But someone asked, do you have any idea about helping women in rural communities without giving them how to help them? And sorry, let me start again. Do you have any idea about helping women in rural communities without having to give them money?
Yes, agribiz.
Oh, okay.
But we do. We go in, going back to anything. You cannot take anybody from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset until they're ready to change. And so what we do, and what transformational learning is change management. And why a lot of programs don't work, you can give people money all day long, and guess what? They'll squatter it away or they'll scatter it, right? It will not help them until they have the mind shift, the change of mind. You will never be successful. It's your mindset. Your mindset is the key to your future. It's the key to the investment in your community. It's the key to sustainable development. So yes, I would say go to agribiz if you are interested in figuring out how I can come to your community and help your community. Or more importantly, let's do a AGS tribe event in terms of some working with some rural women and rural farmers. I welcome that.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, I'm open to that collaboration.
Yeah.
Okay. So, are there any other questions that you guys may have? And you can write your questions in the comments, and I'll just read it out to Lady T. Thompson. So ask your questions. I'm waiting for you guys.
Well, this has been very, very good. And I'm just, again, I can't say how proud I am of you, and
thank you.
That your reward of your efforts is going to have some longevity of your results from everything you're doing. And I'm grateful that you are such a change maker, and just knowing that you are up and coming, honey, your longevity, you're going to be here a long time. I look forward
to you. Amen. 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 Thank you.
On doing and encouraging other women to do their vision boards or their dream boards, because I'm here to tell you, I would have not had some of the opportunities in life had I not done the vision boards and dream boards. One of my examples of that is during the Obama administration, I really wanted to meet Valerie Jarrett. I was like, yes, I'm going to meet her. I had no idea that I would have the opportunity to not do one event, not two events, but 3 events for her in one day. So those dream boards and those vision boards are important. But I think you have some questions.
Yes, so we have some. So someone is saying, in relation to real estate, when you're buying your first land or property in Nigeria, how do you save for the investment?
Well, there are multiple ways. Always wow, I love the way that Nigerians hustle. They hustle like Detroiters. They hustle hard. You have to have multiple streams of income coming in, and you have to be finance fiscally friendly in terms of your purchases and what you're doing. So once you have saved up or have the monies to go, you have to do your due diligence, and your due diligence is getting, like I said earlier, I don't have one barrister, I have two or three of them. You have to do your homework. You need to do your homework on the land, who owns it. You need to wait your 2 weeks. I have been in Nigeria, had to stay an extra week waiting on something to happen to make sure you do your due diligence. But having those legal elements in place will offset you getting scammed.
Mm.
So
Okay,
I
thank
encourage that. Save your money, and sometimes collaborate. If you can get a good legal agreement and everybody can put their money in a pot to go and buy a couple of people pieces of real estate, that can work, but it has to be done in a legal way. It can't be, oh, my friend just gave me 1 million there, and then his cousin gave me 500 there, and then you go buy a property and there was no legalities that was adhered to the property, and somebody ran away with the money on the property. So do your homework.
Thank you for that. Another question is, what do you recommend for a young person to learn from with respect to the production value chain in Nigeria?
Production value chain, I'm assuming it's agriculture, or
I'm assuming as well, because she wasn't very specific.
each supply chain is different. So that's a broad question, but I'll try to dissect it down to a particular sector. So the supply chain industry in Nigeria for tomatoes differ from cassava, and it might differ from palm oil. It might differ from cashews. You need to know your commodity. You need to know your supply chain. And so looking for how you can diversify is the key. Right now, Nigeria is in a very sweet spot in terms of boosting trade and investment, because you all are a giant. You have other countries nearby you that could use some of the commodities. It should never be any spoilage or of waste of certain agriculture commodities, because Nigeria can be selling to other countries. And anytime you have world atrocities and natural disasters and things like that, there is opportunity for trade and investment. For example, cassava in Latin American countries or South American countries is also called yucca. So when atrocities happen from floods, hurricanes, et cetera, that's a great time for cassava producers to export to those particular countries in terms of diversification.
Fantastic. That's knowledge right there. Okay, so another question is, what was the tick that made you look into agriculture, being that your educational background doesn't have agriculture in it?
Because agriculture is the largest employer in the world, and 1 out of 3 individuals, no, let me say it. Every individual is 1 to 3 families away from a farming community on the maternal or paternal side. I am that. My grandfather was a farmer. His dad owned the farm. We still have a farm in Columbia, South Carolina. So it impacts me. And at the end of the day, I want to make sure my family can eat. Everybody has to eat. No one cannot eat. Everybody has. And so when you look at business diversification and the number one employer being agriculture, it was a no-brainer for me.
Okay, thank you. Someone is asking me that, is there any way I can link rural farmers directly to consumers or city stores? Right now, at the top of my head, no. But in the future, we can, look towards, collaborating with different supermarkets and distributors and all of that. But right now, we don't do that just yet. But in the future, obviously, as part of us, trying to empower women and all that, it's possible we can get partners who like our supermarket owners. We already have people within the community who, or one person that I can recall right now in the community who got access to start stocking her products in the supermarkets in Lagos, branded supermarkets, which has different stores across Nigeria. So sometimes these things just deal. You have to be ready. You have to be prepared. You have to have the right networks. This is why communities are also good. You never know somebody who is in the community who even owns a supermarket, you can just walk up to them and say, oh, I remember the AJ Strap community, I have my NAFDAC, so you have to have everything certified, obviously, because you don't want to go around killing people. And then just talk to them, and then the door is open. So that's why communities are very good. If you don't have any community, you're limited within the network you already know. So you need to join communities, look for professional networks, that can benefit you, for example, which is why the AGS tribe, exists. So while we don't have that now, we're still a very, very fresh, young community. We started literally in December, and we've grown so much. So don't worry, we're growing. Hopefully soon we'll have more partners.
Yes.
So, mm-hmm.
That's good advice. And I also like to say, oftentimes you have people that think that they're ready to diversify and go to large supply chains, and they're not ready yet. They don't have their packaging right. They don't have their branding right. It's too premature. So being in a space where you get all your ducks in a row, so to speak, so that you can go and do it. And then the flip side to it, you have a lot of innovators and people who are ready to go into the global market share, and that they are stuck with some of the dynamics of what works in Nigeria. It may not necessarily work in the UK or in the States. For example, you need to have certain nutritional facts together when you're going to go do exporting. So it's little bitty things or little tweaks, I like to say, that can get a person ready, or a community or a co-op ready to do some global business.
Yeah, very, very important. The problem I think a lot of people have in Nigeria is the packaging. Once I see the packaging, I'm just like, how do you think you're going to be in shelves in supermarkets in Nigeria or even abroad? It's not possible. So you need to get your packaging right. For people who are looking to do their packaging, we actually help people to repackage their products. We've helped a couple of people. In fact, I have an example of somebody who we helped to actually repackage her sanitary pads. And from the weekend that she actually went and executed with her new packaging, she went global, like immediately. She started getting calls from newspapers, magazines, all kinds of people. Different, she started exporting to the UK. She started doing big things. So sometimes your packaging just limits you. People even think that she's an international company that is just probably distributing in Nigeria. And the difference was just the packaging. The product was still the same. It was just the packaging that was different. So please invest in your packaging. I still got a call today for someone who wants to repackage her candles. Those things are really, really important. They've seen the difference, of what packaging can actually do to you. You can sell something that is packaged right for $100 as opposed to selling maybe an empty cup that doesn't have any packaging for $10. So packaging is very, very important, especially when you want to start playing with big leagues.
And just to back off of that, the third thing that I would also beyond packaging is sometimes when you need to do on-demand orders because you're not scaling up the way that you need to, so you don't put all this money into something you prematurely. Sometimes you need to find on-demand printing partners or collaborators so that you can either white label what you're doing, somebody else who owns all of the infrastructure for the processing, that they can white label your product so you don't have to make that investment as you continue to scale up.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Someone else is asking, what can be done to reorientate youth to have a mindset shift towards opportunities in the agricultural sector that is considered hard work and unattractive?
Ooh, one of my favorite questions. Let me tell you something. I believe that agriculture has gotten the baddest rap universally because most people and the youth, they think agriculture equals poverty, and that's not true. So when you take opportunities and going back to you take the change mindset and you present, wait a minute, you have skill sets that's applicable to this sector. For example, we just talked about branding. It is a sweet spot for any communications company to learn how or to help brand agricultural or companies and firms. For example, you can be a communication firm that you just doing all the press releases and sending out their kits or press kits out to companies to make them aware that this company is even out there. Then you have ag tech. You can develop, with technology, even doing this Instagram Live. I never did this until today. You can create technology that's indicative of agriculture solutions that can be used, that can be attractive. You can do gadgets. You can build apps. there are so many different things. You can do all type of variations with drones with agriculture. So you have to meet technology with agriculture. And then more importantly, you have to show, you have to show from a business model why agriculture is financially viable. You have to show that no, irrespective of people leaving the farms and never going back, that if you don't have any agriculture, and somebody wrote it, no agriculture, no nation, you will not have a nation because every person has to eat.
Wow, fantastic. Someone else is asking, you mentioned to know our niches. If you know your target market, are you saying we should stick to that and keep fighting even though sometimes we might have to step out a bit?
I say that yes, you do need to know your target market, but I go back into your investment and your innovation and mistakes. You still have to be innovative because sometimes your innovation breeds diversification. So your diversification can have other opportunities that can bring new revenue streams to your business. And so you have to be open to that. You have to sometimes make mistakes, and then the mistakes might be, yes, the next best thing. So if you don't make that investment in yourself, you can't meet those opportunities to take you to a whole nother level.
Wow, fantastic. So I think that's the end of the question, and it's actually 11 or 3 minutes to 11. So I think we've come to the end of the session. Do you have any last words?
Yeah, I started off earlier by saying truly the best way to predict the future is to create it. But I encourage everybody to expand their entrepreneurial success by investing in themselves, by following you, by being participatory in what AGS Tribe is doing. And
Oh, thank you.
because hey, I'm a phone call away. I'm in and out of Nigeria whenever asked. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, one more question. Do you think there might be a likely famine after the COVID crisis?
Well, right now we have several different challenges that's going on with the farming crisis, and so I'm not going to inundate you with some of my perceptions about that. But I will say this: number one is there's going to be a shortage of food insecurities because of the COVID-19. You have had farm workers who have gotten the COVID-19 in different countries, and so you have various commodities that's not making it. So that's an issue. Right now in the U.S., we have poultry farms that's depopulating their poultry because they don't have people to package it and do everything they need to get the poultry out to the masses. So not to mention we have pestilence going on in East Africa. You got locusts eating up all the crops. So this is going to be a real huge issue. So I can't encourage everybody enough, even if you do your garden, your kitchen gardening, or if you have a couple meters, you have a garden somewhere, or if your family have a farm somewhere, invest in it because everybody needs to eat. And this is not going to be a pretty thing in the next few years to come. It's not going to be pretty.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
someone asked me, do I do coaching? And the answer is I have, but I think you have the best coach right here. And I say you utilize her services and you utilize the platform so that you can continue to empower yourself. That's the best profit you could ever have is empowering your own self. So
Yeah.
I say, God bless you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Lady T. Thompson. I really enjoyed the session. To everyone who listened, thank you for staying till the end. This video is going to be uploaded on YouTube, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's AGS Tribe, and we have other videos as well where we've spoken to different industry experts, business leaders, and all of that, and you can learn a lot from all of their successes and their failures and all the experiences that they've been through. So, and also join our AGS Tribe community, which is a strong community of amazing women all over the world. We have a few men in the community. We have like 10. But I always say that, the men that join the community are the men who are also passionate about women empowerment or empowering women. So if you're a man and you're thinking of joining, you can, but obviously we have like maybe 10 men versus over 1,000 women. I'm still considering that, do we even need men in the community? Not that we don't like men or wouldn't collaborate with men, but I maybe just focus on what I'm actually called to do. While we also share some of the opportunities on our Instagram page and everything that everyone can also participate in or take part of or tap into. But the community, we really, really focus on women. We bring in different experts. We have peer-to-peer mentoring sessions every Tuesdays. Which is where we talk about different issues that we're going on with in our careers or our businesses. We also have on Thursdays, every 2 Thursdays, where we bring experts to come and talk to us about different business topics or some of the things that they have expertise in. For example, this Friday, because we have a lot of time on our hands, so I'm trying to bring someone from Google to come and talk to us about how to leverage Google Ads and stuff like that to grow our businesses, or even your own personal brand if you're a career person. So just tap into all of these things, because we have things, we have networks and all of that. So tap into it. Join our community, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and just enjoy. We're just trying to help and build the ecosystem, empower women. We know that women, we need to empower ourselves. We need to understand that you're called to build nations, not just your households. You can do all the things that you're called to do. Look at, I have 2 kids. and they're babies. I still try my best to be there for them, but I still try to also help other people and contribute to my community as well. Check out Lady Thompson. She has a son that's doing amazingly well. She's built her family. She's also contributed to different nations. So she's even gone beyond America. She's now in Africa, doing amazing things. So just look for how you can help people develop yourself. Self-development is very, very key. Get your own money. Be financially independent as a woman. It is so key. It's super important. Like when you have your own money, people will not be talking to you anyhow. At the end of the day, it's very, very important. So tell your friends, guys, tell your friends about AGS Tribe. A lot of amazing things are happening for many people in our community. So you want to be part of that success story. We're going global. This is our first international guest, and I'm super excited that it's you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My love to your family.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Let me stop talking about AGS Tribe now. Good night. Bye, guys. I'm going to end it now.